Welcome to our 7th annual MLK Day of Service event. My name is Ebony Wright, and I am the president and founder of the Delois Scholarship Foundation. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for your support. Our theme this year is Dr. King's quote, "Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education." And our distinguished guest speaker is Stephanie Easter, the Vice President of Strategy at SAIC. For those of you joining us for the first time, the Delois Scholarship Foundation is a nonprofit organization that awards scholarships to high school seniors in Suffolk Public Schools. The foundation was established in 2013 in honor of my late sister, Shantoya Delois Mays, who died in a car accident in 2002. As a teenager and young adult, Toya faced and overcame many hardships and obstacles, but despite that, she graduated from Old Dominion University in 2000 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in English, being the first in our family to graduate college. Toya majored in English because it was her goal to tell her story in hopes of helping others. While she was not able to accomplish that goal and finish her book, the Scholarship Foundation writes a chapter each year by awarding scholarships to deserving young men and women in our Suffolk community. Our Scholarship Foundation offers two types of scholarships. We have a general scholarships where students may major in any subject, and we have a healthcare scholarship where students must major in healthcare. Our healthcare scholarship is in honor and memory of someone very special. She is the sister of my vice president, Gwendolyn Ellis Wilson. Our healthcare scholarship is the Rosie Ellis Field Scholarship, and Rosie was a young woman who also died far too soon from complications of lupus. For more information about our foundation and the type of scholarships that we offer, please visit our website at www.sdmscholarshipfoundation.com. Now, please join me for a few words from board member Amina Khalek in Atlanta, Georgia.
I'm joining you today from a very special place, the birth home of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. On January 15, 1929, Dr. King was born here in this home, in the Sweet Auburn neighborhood of Atlanta, Georgia. Guided by the example set by his influential grandparents and parents, Dr. King went on to lead a life dedicated to preaching the teachings of Christ, fighting for social justice, and being of service to those in the most underserved communities. The first MLK Day federal holiday was observed in the United States in 1986. 8 years later, the U.S. Congress passed the King Holiday and Service Act, which dedicated the MLK holiday as a national day of service. Each year, observed on the third Monday in January, the MLK Day federal holiday is the only federal holiday to be designated a National Day of Service, to encourage all Americans to volunteer their time and talents to improve their communities. For the past 7 years, the Delois Scholarship Foundation has answered the call to serve on MLK Day by coming together with the community to raise college scholarship funds for students in Suffolk, Virginia. Because of your generosity and your continued support, together, we have impacted the lives of many students in our community. Please join us as we hear from a few of our scholarship recipients.
My name is Jacqueline Hendricks, and I was a recipient of the Delois Scholarship in 2019. Now, I am a student at James Madison University, hoping to become a media arts and design major. I unfortunately couldn't make the event this morning, but I didn't want to let my appreciation for receiving the scholarship go unnoticed. As a potential film student, I only thought it would be fitting to express my gratitude in means of a video.
Let me take you back to last semester, right here at Anthony Seeger. This is where my SMAD 101 class was held. 3 days a week, I came here to learn about media in all forms, including video making. While I was only able to get a small glimpse as to what this major would have in store for me down the road, I remained inspired and driven to continue with applying for the program.
Because of this scholarship, I was able to come to JMU with a lot less stress over how I was going to pay for tuition. As a result, I was able to create really strong bonds with my hallmates and join campus organizations like a campus ministry and the video department for The Breeze, our school's newspaper. Being in The Breeze has to have been one of my biggest accomplishments thus far because I was able to direct, film, and edit 2 videos all by myself as a first semester freshman. This is really good for my career because I'm able to practice the skills that I'm going to need while building a portfolio to submit with my media arts and design application. Receiving this scholarship was like feeling all of my hard work and effort in high school being recognized and rewarded. In the middle of all the stress, it can be hard to look past it all and see that you're going to get something out of it. Applying for scholarships can be quite a nerve-wracking experience, so nothing feels better than seeing that congratulatory message telling you that your hard work did not go unnoticed. I just want to reiterate how thankful I am to have been a recipient of the Delois Mays Scholarship. Your contributions are helping me to pursue my dreams of being in the film industry. Thanks again, and roll Dukes.
Hello everyone, my name is Vera Chenard and I am a 2015 former recipient of the $2,000 scholarship from the Delois Mays Foundation. I am a Nansemond River High School graduate. I then attended Virginia Commonwealth University with the intentions of assisting marginalized communities. While I was there, I double majored in political science and African American studies and double minored in gender sexuality and women's studies and international social justice studies while being a United Nations Foundation's Global Health Fellow. Scholarships definitely help you on the long run. I was able to graduate early and study abroad twice in various countries of East Africa and India. I am currently a full-time employee for the Commonwealth of Virginia's course, as well as a full-time PhD student at Old Dominion University. As an employee, I pursued and completed my Master's in Law, concentrating in human rights at Regent University. As of right now, I'm studying international studies to go into academia and become a university professor. I research African and Caribbean history, government, and social movements. I say all this because community support is what makes many of these achievements possible. Mrs. Wright and the Delois Mays Foundation Scholarship Foundation is an amazing example of what community support looks like and what it is capable of looking like when planted and bloomed. It takes a village, definitely, to make inspirations happen, and I hope that you all are just as inspired to make an impact in and for your community, as we can see that it can take place in many different forms, including the Scholarship Foundation itself. Mrs. Wright, myself, and everyone who is and was involved with this foundation will always be here to support you all throughout the journey. Thank you, everyone, and continue to stay safe.
Hello, my name is Wayne Cochran. I am a 2020 recipient of the Delois Mays Scholarship Foundation. I am a freshman Delois scholar at the Norfolk State University. I am a chemistry major with a biology minor on a pre-med track. Although my first semester of college was in the midst of a global pandemic, I thoroughly enjoyed myself and I was able to get all A's on my end report. I would like to say thank you very much to the Delois Mays Scholarship Foundation for funding my college experience and helping me attain my goal of becoming a physician.
Hi, my name is Austin Bradshaw. I attended Lakeland High School and I'm going to Virginia Tech to major in accounting and information systems. The first semester is going great, transitioning to online, just getting used to everything. And I'm so grateful for the scholarship because it helps with the financial burdens of college. And it's a lot to have on a student's back, and I'm just truly grateful for the opportunity. So, thank you.
Hello, my name is Antonio Perez Jr. and I'm excited to announce that I am a 2020 scholarship recipient of the Delois Mays Foundation. I'm currently a freshman at Old Dominion University pursuing a degree in engineering. Despite the current pandemic and on-campus restrictions, my first semester has been great. Because of the Delois Mays Foundation, I was able to purchase books and other necessities. I am grateful for this foundation and thank you for the blessing of this scholarship.
Hello, my name is Benji Salerno and I'm a sophomore at Emory and Henry College. I'm an exercise science major and I want to go into physical therapy. I want to thank the Delois Mays Scholarship Foundation for their support in my journey through college. Everybody hasn't gotten to have that real college experience for a while now because of everything that's going on. However, I did get to experience some of that in my freshman year. I got to go to games on campus, really experience what college had to offer. And I even participated in intramural sports at Emory and Henry. I played a flag football for them, and we even won the championship. And that was really fun. But going online these past couple semesters, I've really enjoyed it because it just allows me to stay close to my family in these troubling times, because college is 8 hours away from me. And it is a beautiful area on that other side of Virginia, but I drove home so many times during college just to see my family. And it just feels good to be close to them and not have to drive 8-hour trips just to see them. But I'd like to thank you guys again for supporting me through my journey in college. Thank you.
I'm Douglas Mays, and I'm standing at the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Civil Rights Memorial Park in Seattle, Washington. Behind me is what's known as the Black Granite Mountain, a 30-foot structure that is inspired by Dr. King's I've Been to the Mountaintop speech, delivered the day before he was assassinated in 1968. Each year, the foundation issues a Community Leadership Award to an individual in the community that has demonstrated outstanding leadership. We are proud to announce that our 2020 award recipient is an educator, a teacher, an essential worker who has not only demonstrated outstanding leadership, but who has been on the front lines during this pandemic.
You want to be important? Wonderful. If you want to be recognized, wonderful. If you want to be great, wonderful. But recognize that he who is greatest among you shall be your servant. That's a new definition of greatness. By giving that definition of greatness, it means that everybody can be great. Because everybody can serve.
My passion for public education began as a stay-at-home mom while supporting my own children's education. I believe knowledge is power. As a teacher, I have the ability not only to change the life of a student, but an entire family, just by promoting a love for learning. I believe my job as a teacher is not only to equip my students, but to encourage them to become lifelong learners. One word, it's stressful. It's difficult to motivate students. It's difficult to reward them. It's challenging to build relationships. It's challenging to develop tools for learning. Every week we pretty much start from scratch and we develop electronic tools for learning. But my approach has been to solve the problem. In using that approach, it has really caused me to stretch my own knowledge base and creativity. And I think that when I look at it through that lens, I believe that I am going to walk away from this pandemic becoming a better teacher. And that's the goal. That's always my goal. I would like to say thank you to the board. I thank you so much for your recognition and your confidence in me. I want to thank God because He is the head of my life and He gives me the strength and the faith and the fortitude to accomplish all of my goals and everything that He sets at my hands to do. I want to thank my family because they are my biggest cheerleaders. They are my help. They are my support, especially to my husband. He knows, we give 10% of everything that we earn back to the church, but he also allows me to invest a portion of what I make back into my classroom and into my students. And so I thank him for that. I appreciate him. I appreciate my children and thank them for always helping me, even on my little projects when I'm making signs and different things for my classroom. They are always there to help me. And then finally, I would like to dedicate this award to my fellow educators. Listen, no teacher is an island. It takes collaboration, it takes sharing information and ideas, and a lot of educators make the sacrifice day in and day out, and they're never recognized. So I dedicate, this is not just for me, this is for us. This is for my second grade team, and this is for all of the educators at Churchland Academy. Thank you again.
Our guest speaker is the epitome of intelligence plus character. She is the Vice President of Strategy and Planning for the Defense Systems Group at Science Applications International Corporation, SAIC. Throughout her career, she has served in a variety of challenging and high-impact positions with the Department of Defense. To name a few, she has served as the Director of Navy Staff for the United States Navy, becoming the first civilian to hold the position. She's also served as the Acting Assistant Secretary of the Army for Acquisition, Logistics, and Technology, and the Principal Deputy to the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Acquisition, Logistics, and Technology. She is a graduate of North Carolina State University with a Bachelor of Science degree in Chemical Engineering, and she holds a Master of Science degree in Engineering from the Catholic University of America. In 2019, she received the Distinguished Engineering Alumni Award from both universities. She has been awarded the Secretary of the Navy Distinguished Civilian Service Award, the Army Exceptional Civilian Service Award, the Meritorious Executive Presidential Rank Award, the Secretary of Defense Meritorious Civilian Service Award, the Navy Superior Civilian Service Award, and the Navy Meritorious Civilian Service Award. Additionally, she is the recipient of the 2010 Black Engineer of the Year Award for Professional Achievement and the 2009 National Woman of Color Award for Managerial Leadership. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished guest speaker, Ms. Stephanie Easter.
Thank you, Ebony, for that kind introduction. And thank you and the Delois Mays Scholarship Foundation for extending the invitation for me to be here with you today. It is truly an honor and a privilege to be a part of your Dr. Martin Luther King Day observance. And good morning to everyone who is joining us virtually. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for supporting such a great cause. In full disclosure, I need to let you know that I may be asking a few questions throughout my remarks. Some of them I expect for you to answer, and others I just want you to think about or ponder. And I'll try to remember to tell you which is which. But since we're doing this virtually, I'll need to make sure that everyone knows how to use the chat function on the device that they're viewing this on today. So please take a second and find your chat function and type in the chat room, "Good morning." And while you're doing that, I just wanted to remind you that Ebony has informed me that I will have access to your chats. So I will know whether you answered my questions or not. No pressure, but just wanted to make sure that you know. As I was preparing for today's event and considering the Dr. Martin Luther King quote that serves as the theme for today, I admit I had to do some research because I was not as familiar with this particular quote as I am with some of Dr. King's other quotes. And also, I wanted to make sure that I understood the context in which the quote was written. And in my research, I found that the quote, "Intelligence and character, that is the goal of true education," comes from a piece called "The Purpose of Education" that Dr. King wrote in the 1947 February edition of the Maroon Tiger, which is the Morehouse College student newspaper. And it's the case for all of Dr. King's writing. It is a very thought-provoking and compelling piece. And although I will be sharing some excerpts from the article throughout my remarks today, I encourage each and every one of you to take the time to read the entire article after this event. But to provide you the immediate context, I want to add and share with you the sentence or phrase that is right before that quote. And Dr. King writes, "We must remember that intelligence is not enough. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education." So as I thought through this, I asked myself, what can those of us here today learn from such a powerful and profound quote that was written almost 74 years ago? And I believe there are 3 underlying themes in this article that we can learn from and that will help us to be better people and therefore help us to build better societies. But before I get into those, I'd like to take a moment to talk about education and intelligence. If you're like me, you may have heard, or perhaps even thought at some point in time, that to be intelligent, you had to be educated. Because as a society, when we think about a person's intelligence, we normally think about it in terms of their educational background. And when we think of education, we normally think of formal institutions, high school, a 2-year college, or 4-year university. But I want to challenge that train of thought today. I propose to you that you can be highly intelligent without being highly educated. Because if we take a moment and think about it, I'm sure all of us know at least one person, perhaps in our family, or maybe someone we've just come across throughout our lives, that is highly intelligent, but never had the opportunity for a formal education. Now, I'm not minimizing the importance of formal education. It is very important. And I believe that anyone that has a desire to be formally educated should have the opportunity. And we're here today to support a scholarship that's going to help young people pursue formal education. So yes, it is important. But I want to make this distinction because I don't want anyone listening to me today to think that what I'm about to share does not apply to them because they have not had the opportunity to be formally educated. So for the purposes of this discussion, when I use the term education or educated, I am not simply referring to people who have gone through a formal institution and received a degree. I am referring to people who possess intelligence. And intelligence is the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills, whether in a formal environment or not, which I believe applies to all of us. So are we good with this? If so, type in the chat, "I'm good." If you're not good, type in the chat, "I gotta think about it," and I'll work with Ebony to figure out how we can engage after this event. Now back to the 3 underlying themes that we can learn from today from this quote and article by Dr. King that I believe will help make us better people. The first theme is critical thinking. In the article, The Purpose of Education, Dr. King states, and I quote, "Education must enable one to sift and weigh the evidence, to discern the true from the false, the real from the unreal, and the facts from the fiction." In other words, I believe Dr. King is telling us that if we're going to be better people and help build better societies, we're going to have to think critically. In today's society, with so much access to information and even misinformation, and the speed at which it passes, it's very tempting to take things at face value. See, when I was growing up, if you wanted to research something, you had to go to the library and you had to do research. And it wasn't going to the library and logging on to a computer. It was going to the library and looking in the card catalog, finding the book you wanted, and then going to find the book and do your research. And if you were fortunate, you may have had a set of Britannica encyclopedias in your home that you could go there and look and read. But today, all you have to do is go on the internet. You can go on the internet, you can Google and ask a question. And with the Internet of Things, you don't even have to go on the internet. You can just push a button and say, "Siri, tell me," or Google, "What is?" So there is so much access to information, and we are tempted to take it at face value. Because after all, if it's on the internet, it must be true, right? No, I want to challenge that thought as well. we must resist taking everything at face value. How many of you have ever read something that a friend posted on social media and you took it to be true, only to find out later that maybe it wasn't so true, but that was after you had shared it with 20 other of your closest friends? If that's you, just type in the chat, done that. Or how many of you have spent time lamenting over something? You know, getting all upset and stressed out and agitated over something that you were told just to find out later that it wasn't true. That happened to me not too long ago. So in my work environment, I had the opportunity to help make things better. And so I had this idea of how we could make our organization more effective and more efficient. So I did my research, got a team together, we figured out the best thing to do, and I drafted a proposal. And I drafted it up, I coordinated with everybody, made sure everybody was on board, and then I took it to my boss for approval. So a few weeks went by, I hadn't heard anything, so I walked down to the boss's office, and I asked the staff, I said, hey, where are we on my proposal? And his EA, the staff tells me, the boss disapproved it. Now my first reaction was one of disappointment, but as I was walking back to my office, my disappointment turned into agitation. And then by the time I got to my office, for the next 3 to 5 minutes, I was so stressed. I don't know if it's just me, but I started running all these scenarios through my head. You know, like, why would he disapprove my proposal? This is important. Oh my gosh, so-and-so must have gotten to him. They're trying to undermine me. They're fighting against me. Maybe it's just me and you've never done this, but I'm just keeping it real. So after about 3 to 5 minutes, something said, Stephanie, calm down, take a breath, and let's see what's going on. So I went back to talk to my boss. I'm like, hey, you know, what happened with the proposal? And he's like, oh, it was great. I just had a few questions, so I just wanted to talk to you to see how you were going to implement it. And I'm like, okay. So I go back to the staff, and I'm like, I thought you guys told me he disapproved it. Well, we thought we heard him say that he had questions, so we assumed that he didn't approve it. Again, I had wasted 3 to 5 precious moments of my life being upset and frustrated and agitated over something that was not true. So my point is, in an environment with so much information, and in a time when people do not always present things in an objective or complete manner, we cannot take things at face value. We must know the truth for ourselves and not rely on others. So write in the chat room, know it for yourself. Okay? It kind of reminds me of a quote that I'm sure all of you have heard. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that has his own. Make sure you have your own knowledge of the truth. Do not rely on anyone else. The second underlying theme in this article is context. And I'm not only talking about putting things in the context of which they were said or done, but I'm referring to putting things in the context of who we are as individuals, our moral compass, also known as our character. Dr. King writes in the article, and I quote, "The most dangerous criminal may be the man gifted with reason, but with no morals." I shared earlier that understanding the context in which something is written is very important. And that is why I shared the surrounding words to the quote that serves as our theme today. But I propose to you that putting things in the context of who we are is even more impactful. You can think critically and get to the truth. But then you must take that truth and put it in the context of who you are, your character. So let's see if we can bring that home a little bit. So for example, let's say you're a college student and a friend tells you that the answers to a chemistry test that you have on Friday is available for sale. Now, you've been struggling with chemistry all semester. You really need to do well on this test. And this may seem like a dream come true. And so you do your research and you find out that yes, someone actually does have the answers to your chemistry test. But just because it's true that the answers exist and they are for sale, does not mean that you should buy them. Because when you take that truth and you put it in the context of who you are as an individual, you know that it's not the right thing to do. Now maybe that example was too easy. You know, it's kind of black and white. We're not going to cheat on the test. And maybe those of you who are listening who are a little bit more mature are thinking, those are young people, that doesn't apply to me. Perhaps this example will hit a little closer to home. Let's say we're in a store and we're shopping and we go and we pay for our item at the cashier. And we pay in cash and the cashier gives us change. And as we're walking out the door, we're thinking, I think the cashier gave me more money than they should have. So you get to your car and you pull out the receipt and you look and you see, yes, the cashier gave you more money than you were supposed to have in change. So does your moral compass compel you to go back into the store and return the extra cash? Now you don't have to answer that one in chat, because I can only imagine that some of you are thinking, well, it depends on how much it was. And some of you may even be thinking, well, girl, I'll consider that a blessing towards my Christmas fund. You know? So don't answer that in chat, but instead, write in the chat, how was your context? Or how was your character? Because if we're going to be better people and help build a better society, we must know the truth for ourselves, and we must consider that truth in the context of who we are, the context of our character. And the third and final underlying theme is community. To this point, all of my examples have been from a personal perspective. Knowing the truth for yourself, knowing the facts and the truth in the context of your character and considering them in that context. And as I stated, both of those are very important. But I believe that Dr. King is calling us to go even further. We have to leverage our intelligence and our character to make our communities a better place. It is not sufficient to simply be knowledgeable and educated on the things that affect us individually. We must be knowledgeable and educated on the things that help our communities. We must understand the importance of social justice and how we can advance the cause. We must understand the challenges associated with racial and gender bias and use our knowledge and education to combat it. We must be able to recognize the institutional educational discrepancies that our young people deal with every day and engage and right that wrong. It does not matter how intelligent we are, or how much education we have, or even what great character we have, if we do not use our gifts and talents to stand up for justice, to help those who are less fortunate than we are, and to set the example for those who are going to come behind us. All of us here today are standing on the shoulders of those who came before us. People like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and many others whose names may not even be known to the masses, but they're known to us. But they all have one thing in common. They all worked hard and they sacrificed for each one of us to be where we are today and to have the things that we have today. Whether we believe we've got it all or not, we are better off than some of us even deserve. So I challenge each of us to help make our communities better by seeking the truth for ourselves, considering and acting on that truth in the context of who we are or our character, and paying it forward so that our communities will be better. If we do this, well, let me correct that. When we do this, we will be honoring the namesake of this scholarship, Miss S. Delois Mays, an intelligent young woman who valued education and whose character propelled her to graduate from Old Dominion University, not just for herself, but to position herself to assist others. And a young woman who had a dream to write a book as a platform to reach a community of young teenagers and young adults who may have faced obstacles similar to the ones she did, so that she could encourage them. I can think of no better example for us today than those set for us by her. And I think we owe it to ourselves and to her and all the other people who paved the way for us to think critically so that we know the truth for ourselves, to view the truth in the context of our character, and to use our knowledge and our education and our truth to help make our communities a better place. Thank you very much, and it has been an extreme honor to be with you today. Thank you.
What encouraging words on intelligence and character. I hope you all enjoyed the event, and thank you for tuning in and for your support. Special thanks goes out to Mrs. Stephanie Easter, Last Minute Florist, Suffolk News Herald, Virginia Pilot, Suffolk Public Schools School Board, and the Superintendent of Suffolk Public Schools, Dr. John Gordon. For more information about our foundation, please visit us at www.sdmscholarshipfoundation.com. Thank you.